Does someone want to say action?
Action!
Hey, thank you. Hey, so you kids are dropping like flies. So this is a fun and entertaining class video. So if you're not here because you're social distancing way far away from us, you can follow along with class here, and it will be great. So this is just so you know, it's first hour. I have Raylan, Gracie, and Chandler, and you're in good hands because, you know, 2 of the 3 are very smart. So Raylan thinks I'm talking about her, and I'm not. So let me review just a bit so that we're all on board. So this is for you guys too. We talked about if you were gone yesterday, and some of you were. So this is Friday the 28th. So if you were gone on Thursday the 27th, then what you missed is a really lengthy discussion that basically came down to this. The human brain, what makes us human, we're good at 3 things, but the 2 things that are important are creativity and empathy. Creativity is the ability to make something out of nothing, right? And empathy is the ability to relate to other human beings and understand their emotional states and feel it yourselves. Those are 2 really important things because they are what we do better than all the other animals. And so when you engage in creativity or like the arts in any way, then you are enhancing those aspects of your brain, which is great. So that's my job and your job as artists. So I just explained in 15 seconds what I took an hour to explain yesterday. So I am a bad teacher. So now I'm feeling insecure because I wasted our time yesterday. Oh well. We are talking about how to direct a play. We've read Bobby Wilson Can Eat. I'm talking to the camera right now because it's for you guys who weren't here. We're reading Bobby Wilson Can Eat His Own Face. You've done that, right? Now we're going to look at it from the standpoint of a director, which means we are interpretive artists. We are taking something somebody has created, we are making meaning out of it, and then we are interpreting it to share our meaning on stage if we were going to direct it. So that's where we are. We talked about, this is a review, but if you weren't here, we talked about how if we look at it linearly, like here's the beginning of the play, and here's the end of the play. Is this on? Yeah, here's the end of the play. You can't see this, can you? Oh well. Here's the middle of the play, right? In Bobby Wilson, there's a complete shift at the middle of the play where Bobby decides to go off on his own. So you've got the ordinary world here, or the normal world, his home, and then you have the circus over here, right? Because he goes off to join the circus, where he discovers that here where he felt isolation and like otherness, he felt not connected to the world around him, to like his parents and his sister and his teachers. Once he leaves, he chooses to get on the bus and go to the circus, then suddenly he finds a home there with the other, quote, freaks, right? Because as a 15-year-old boy, he felt like he was a freak in his home. Yeah, he goes here, he joins the circus, he meets all of these people, he falls in love with telekinetic Lucy, and they go back home and live happily ever after. So that's that in a nutshell. But the idea is this. The play, when I read it, is about the sense of isolation that you feel growing up, or just any human being feels from time to time, like you are separate from everybody else and nobody understands you. So then you go into the real world, you grow up a little bit, and you meet people and you realize, oh, we're all weird, or we're all special, or we're all, like they would say, like Bobby would say, freaks, right? And so when you own that and understand that everybody, that's the human condition, everything's okay. So those are the themes that I want to talk about. We are going to look at this from the viewpoint of EF's Visit to a Small World. EF is Eleanor Fuchs. She wrote this essay about how to get into a play and to look at a play, and that's what we're going to look at. So you guys and you at home, if you will get onto your Chromebooks, I'm sorry about this, we'll push pause in a second. If you'll go to Google Classroom, where I'm sure you've checked in, because you still got to check in every day, even if you're not at school, and you get onto Classroom, you will find a PDF that says EF's Visit to a Small Planet. And if you click on it, you will bring that up. You can skip the first 2 pages and then push pause while you look for it. And then when you have found it, we will continue. All right, so we're back. Welcome back. We are, this is so stupid. My thing isn't working. There it goes. All right, pull up the PDF. You've pulled up the PDF. Skip the first 2 pages. So the first page is a map. The second page is like somebody telling you what you're about to read. We're skipping just down to what we're reading. There's the first italicized paragraph, and if you weren't here yesterday, and if you're watching this, you weren't. So if you weren't here yesterday, I would like you to, right now, when I tell you, push pause again, read that to yourself, and then in your notes, just tell yourself what you took from it, right? Don't copy it, don't try to get what's important, just read it, and then over here say, this is what's important from this. That's it, right? Don't like over analyze it. I'm not asking you to dissect it. So you're pushing pause now. To do that, 1, 2, 3, go. So that was fun. Let's move on. The world of the play, first things first. So we're at Roman numeral I, which is 1. First things first. I'm going to read this to you. You guys follow along, and you follow along at home if you're playing. A play is not a flat work of literature. It's not a description in poetry of another world, but it is itself another world passing before you in time and space. Let's talk about that. So a play isn't a flat work of literature. It's not like any other work of literature. It's its own world passing before you in time and space. What does that mean? I'm bringing in our studio audience. What does that mean?
What does what mean?
Oh my God.
I'm doing attendance.
I apologize. I apologize. We should have screened the audience before they came in. A play, I'm going to read it again, and then you're going to follow along, or at least pretend to. A play is not a flat work of literature, not a description in poetry of another world, but is in itself another world passing before you in time and space. Let's break it down. So here's how you get smarter. Here's how you get smarter. You read things that are smarter than you, right? Written by people who are smarter than you. And I think she is smarter than I am, and definitely smarter than Chandler. So listen, here's the thing. Let's break it down. What is it not? A play.
A flat work of...
It's not nothing.
It's not nothing. It's not a flat work of literature.
Thing.
Right. It's not something, the way I would say it is, it's not like something that you just set down in front of you and you read it and then you understand it. What does she say it is? It's right there.
World passing before you in
Another
time and
world.
space.
Yeah, it's a world passing before you in time and space. What's time and space?
Here, now.
Here again.
Yeah,
Space,
right? If
time.
something exists in time and space, what does that mean? What does time mean?
It's like, past, present, future. It's like.
Yeah,
It's
it
either
moves, right?
happening, or is going to happen.
I have something in my mouth. We would edit this out if this were serious. Listen, yeah, right. It happens in time. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? It's linear in this situation, in this play, right? So it exists. It's a real place, and you should think of it as a real place, as a different planet than this planet, but one that reflects this planet, right? Let's skip down to the third paragraph. It says, to see this entire world, do this literally. That means she really wants you to do this. Mold the play into a medium-sized ball. Set it before you in the distance. Now here's the thing. I'm not going to hand out Play-Doh because of COVID, and I don't want to get infected Play-Doh, right? That then I give to somebody else. So instead, in your notes, let's just draw a planet. Can you see that? You can kind of see that. So you're going to draw a planet, and because humans live on this planet, this is the play. This is the world that Bobby Wilson lives in. I'm going to give it continents, and the first continent over here is going to be shaped kind of like a B, and then there's a W continent, so that's Bobby Wilson, right? That's the world of Bobby Wilson. It doesn't have to look like that, but it can. And for those of you playing along at home, you want to do this too in your notes. If you probably didn't take your comp books out of my room, they're here, probably like infecting me. Great. So find a notebook at home, or if you don't have paper at home, write notes on the wall. You could write notes on the wall, and then you could talk to your parents about what you learned in class today. And then your parents and I would have something to talk about at parent-teacher conferences. And probably I'd get fired, so don't do that. But write this, draw this, the world of the play. Then she says, Fuchs says, you do that, make the ball small enough that you can see the entire planet, which we have done here. Not so small that you lose detail, and not so large that the details overwhelm the whole. Before you, she says, is the world of the play. Still squinting, but don't actually squint. Ask about the space. Let's talk about that. What is space?
Any matter or anything that exists.
There is space in this room,
Yeah.
right? This room is a space. So how would you describe this room as a space?
Oh, you mean like?
Yeah, like describe this room.
I mean,
So we can start with adjectives. Adjectives are words that describe nouns and pronouns.
It's like a rectangle.
it's
Okay,
right.
hey, it's rectangular, right? So there is a shape to the room. Yeah, what else?
It is brightly lit.
It's brightly lit. Good. What
The
else?
walls are yellow.
The walls are yellow, unfortunately. It was a mistake.
It's like beige.
It's a beige. I thought it was more beige.
Definitely yellow.
Turned out to be kind of
Yellow.
puke yellow, kind of. What
Ew.
else? Yeah, don't look at it now. What else about this room? So in terms of just the physicality of this room, the space of this room, it's rectangular, it's yellow, it's bright,
Open.
it's open. Good. So that's the room, right? That's the room. It's open. It's kind of like stacked with stuff. Okay, good enough. So good. Let's move on to what she wants us to talk about then. What is the space like on this planet? We're back to Bobby Wilson. These are the questions I need you to answer. And let's look at the questions first and then listen for instructions. 1, what is space like on this planet, the planet of Bobby Wilson? Because we're thinking of the play as an entire world unto itself, with its own rules and its own shapes. What is the space on the planet like? Is it interior or exterior? That means inside or outside. Is it built or is it natural? Is space here confined or is it wide open? Do you see long passages with many stations? Do you see a landscape of valleys and mountains, sea and land? Are you on an island, in a cave, in a desert, or a jungle, or on a country road? So you want to talk about the space. So here's what I would do. Think about the play. You've read the play, think about the play. What images come to your mind?
Very much like my hometown.
Okay. Okay, so on one hand, we can say it's a lot like Cherokee, right? Like what you envision is potentially your hometown, right? Because it's relatable. It's about a teenage kid who lives with his family and stuff like that. So over here, like, I'm just going to draw a house, right? And I'm drawing like a little kid kindergarten version of a house. Yeah, so we've got a house. Is the space in this place, is it interior or exterior? Like, are we inside buildings or outside buildings?
Interior.
Interior. So I'm going to just draw an arrow and write interior. Because we're in the house. Where else are we? We got a school. I'm going to draw like a little, here's a bell. That's how you know it's a school. It also looks like a church, kind of. It actually doesn't look like either of those things. So you got a school, you got a house. Those are interior settings, right?
And then the carnival.
Is the carnival interior or exterior?
Of
Right, so then you've also got a carnival. So how can I draw a carnival? Here's what I'm going to do.
tent.
Yep, that's good. You could draw a tent. I just drew like a ring, like a 3-ring circus.
Oh,
I mean, but no, draw a tent, right? Draw whatever you want to draw. Yeah, but in my head, I'm thinking, okay, This is what I thought of when I thought of circus. So we're just, like we're exploring the world of the play. How big is the world of the play? Like,
Very small.
okay, so
It's- yeah.
keep talking.
It's a house, like a gym, and then like a circus grounds.
How far away is the circus from?
Isn't it like a long ways because they keep stopping and it's never gonna
Well, they
stop?
never say specifically.
Right.
Like, to me, it's like, this is Oklahoma and the carnival is in Washington State.
Yeah, I think that's great. So you could say that the world of the play has a significant amount of distance in it, but when you say it's small, that the world is small, I think that's important, particularly here, right? Like if we're talking about Act 1, I think the spaces are small and tight and confining. Why do I think that?
Because of the attitude of the play and like the setting.
Right, because of the attitude of the play, because of the setting, but because we're dealing with a kid who
Feels isolated.
feels isolated and also kind of trapped, right, in his isolation, like by the family. Let's move on. Now, ask about the time. How does the time behave on this planet? Does time stand still? Is time frantic and staccato, meaning like that? Oh, it just moved. I don't know where we are. Oh, found it. Is it leisurely, easygoing? How is time marked on the planet? By clock, by the sun, by the sound of footsteps? What kind of time are we in? Cyclical time, that means things are happening over and over again. Linear time, that means beginning, middle, and end. What kind of line is it if it's linear? Is it one day or is it one lifetime? How long is the play, the time in the play? So talk to me about how time works in the play.
It goes by very, like, really quick, and it's only over, like, maybe like a couple months. You don't really know, though. It could be over, like, a week.
Right, would you agree with that, Raylan?
Yeah.
Do you know what you're agreeing to?
Yeah.
No, you have no
I
idea.
do.
No,
The
you don't.
time and how it's like over like a couple months. 'cause
Hey, way to
everything
go.
Jumps around.
Good, awesome. So that blank stare was
Oh, I was
just
focusing.
focus. It was
Yeah.
concentration.
Yeah.
I thought it was. All right, so listen. Here's the thing. That's true. I think that you can say on one hand, we talked about it, time is linear. It goes in a line in this play. Zelitis, the author, messes with time, though. How, if I say that, he messes with time, how does he mess with time? Any ideas?
It makes you not really know how much time is, like, passed or what time it is.
Let's go back to something you said just a second ago, and what that was that it moves quickly, right? It's a fast-paced play. It's a comedy, so comedies tend to be fast-paced, right? And so it doesn't feel like time passes quickly in this play, right? It's a short play. There's a lot to do. There are two ways of the audience is having two different experiences depending on what's happening in the play. It has to do with how characters interact with themselves and with the audience. So what are those two different realities in the play? I'll give you time to think.
Long and
I know.
he said.
So here's the question. Well, let me just, for the sake of time. You got Bobby Wilson and you got everybody else in the play, right? The scenes where action is happening moves in a line. But then Don Zelitis sets up the structure in a way that also breaks up that linear time. How does he do that?
Isn't like, are you talking about like when like Bobby talks to you?
Yes, that was Raylan.
It was.
Wow. No, that's awesome. Listen, that's exactly right. So Bobby Wilson steps out of time, the time of the play. Bobby Wilson steps out of it to address the audience, to comment on what's happening, right? So when you look at the time in the play, it moves in two different ways. It moves in a linear way, and then it also moves in like a more, like Fuchs might say, a staccato way, or a broken up way. Does that make sense? Yeah? I'm going to assume it makes sense. Let's move on. Oh, and how long is it? I think, right, it's a couple months. He leaves home and then comes back. Ask about the climate on this planet. Do we have storms, eclipses of the sun, the moon? Do you have extreme heat, paralyzing cold? Is the environment on the planet harsh, lush and abundant, sear and life-denying, airless and suffocating? Like what? Describe the climate. What do you think? What's the climate of this play?
It always feels gloomy until the circus. The circus feels kind of sunny.
Okay,
Nice.
so here at home we'd say gloomy maybe? And here we're going to say sunny at the circus. Here's something to think about. There's nothing in the play that says it's gloomy, right? But Chandler, in reading the play, and when he thinks about climate, says it's gloomy. So his interpretation of the action, of the dialogue and the action in the play is this is a gloomy place to live. That's an important note because what that means is he is bringing himself into this play. You may not agree that it's gloomy, right? But as if Chandler is going to direct this play, he may want the design to suggest a gloominess, a darkness in Act 1 that brightens in Act 2. Does that make sense? That's interpreting the play. That's what directors do. Yeah? That was very exciting. That was an exciting moment. Thank you, Chandler.
Mm-hmm.
This will be the last time I video an actual class. Next. So that's climate. Let's talk about the mood. What is the mood of the play? You can scroll down. I'm having trouble scrolling, like it doesn't really move. What is the mood of the play? Is it jolly or serious, sad, ironic? Oh, there it just moved. Sepulchral. Hey, that's a vocab word of yours. Didn't you have?
Sepulchre?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
What is that?
Sepulchre.
What's sepulchre?
Was it in context?
I know. No, there's no context here. It's just an adjective describing. It's describing mood.
Is it?
Oh, this is so
sad,
disappointing.
Angry, frustrated.
Do you remember what the?
Happy.
It's all of those things. It's sad, angry, frustrated, happy.
I don't know what
Hey,
it is.
those of you playing at home, hit pause, Google it. Sepulchral,
I haven't seen it in
which is the adjective of sepulcher, I think. I'm really good at this. The mood is not a question of plot. Comedies are happy, for example. Tone also contributes to mood. What is the tone of this planet? Delicate or coarse? Think about these things. This has to do with tactile feeling, right? Right now, is it delicate or coarse? Is it cerebral or passionate? That means, is it like you need to really think about this play, or is it more about the heart? This has to do with tone and how it feels. Is it restrained or is it violent? How are mood and tone created on this planet? Through music, light, sound, color, shape. What shapes, curves, are they curves or are they angles? Let's talk about that. Just generally speaking, is this, so we've said, Act 1 gloomy, Act 2 bright.
Sunny.
What are the shapes? What are the shapes in this play?
Angles.
Okay, so talk to me about that. So
It's like-
Chandler says angles.
It's like going one direction and another, and now you're here and there, and now you're at like a circus, and then the kid's getting eaten, and then
Kids get.
Right, yeah, Lobster Boy gets eaten. Yeah, so here's the thing, I think that's really smart. So if you look at just the line of the play, like we said, it's linear, but there are like a way of thinking of it, which kind of goes to what you're saying is Bobby Wilson keeps hitting walls, right? So you could think of it as like a video game where, like an old school Atari video game where he's like beep, 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 hits a wall and then turns and goes somewhere else. Beep, 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 hits a wall and then goes someplace else. So you could say that it's an angled play. The plot is angled, right? Or at least his experience is about the angles that he's experiencing. What about colors? What colors do you see? When you read Bobby Wilson, what colors? Here's what to think about. What's the environment? You've got a house, you've got a school, you've got a circus. So what colors?
Red, blue.
Yeah. Where? Red, blue, where?
Well, like, if it's gloomy at like the school and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like a dark,
Okay.
sad red.
What if, so let's
Sad.
talk, listen, so let's talk, a sad red, sad blue. Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about from a design aspect. How could you demonstrate the shift? Let's use red and blue. Let's just use red and blue. this world is red and blue, this world is red and blue. What's the difference in the shades?
Dark
Or the
and
hues?
light.
Like dark,
Sad.
like sad, we said
Gloomy
gloomy,
reds.
so gloomy, sad, red, blue, right? You could just have them muted, right? So like move, both of them moving towards gray, right?
Yeah.
And awful and oppressive, and then you get here to the circus and like bam, you hit the
Bright
audience
color.
with color, right?
Hello.
Da, 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 da. What about the sounds? Like what's the soundscape? I think that's what's next on the list
For the
anyway.
circus or for the?
For the whole play, what is the music of the play? And by music, it's another way, I'm going to use the term soundscape. So what do you hear? Like the truck going by is part of the soundscape of this room. What's the soundscape of this play? What do you hear in Act 1? What might you want playing?
Something
Like at
kinda
the house, like-
slow,
Yeah. No, you can go. Go.
No. You start.
No.
Chandler's given you like 17 answers to
Like,
your one
I mean,
right
like,
answer.
the
He's been
actual,
wrong
like,
each time.
sounds, like at the house, like the TV in the background while like they're talking.
Sure. So that's a great idea, right? So there may be, if you're talking about like how this essentially Act 1 is uncomfortable, right? Because Bobby's uncomfortable. Maybe we want the audience to feel a little bit uncomfortable, right? And one way to do that is to in the house, maybe there's a TV on somewhere, right? You hear it, or maybe it's just static. Maybe it's somebody flipping through channels. Maybe it's obnoxious commercials, right? Like you don't want it to distract, but since we're only talking about like the creation of the world right now, of this world, let's go with that. Let's say there are harsh noises, distracting, ugly, not great noises here. Does that make sense? Another way of saying it is, or another way you could do, this is just in terms of like what's on the TV. What might be on the TV? Like what?
Commercial
Okay, like for what?
or toasters or
Okay,
refrigerators.
so one, it could be like you could go super annoying commercials, right? Like car commercials or something, right? Like with obnoxious people dressed in costumes or whatever,
Yeah.
right? What's another thing? What do we know about Bobby? What's like Bobby isn't, he feels like an outsider, right?
Sad.
What commercials could you play
Sad dog.
that sort of go to that idea that Bobby doesn't feel like he's what he should be? For those of you at home, I want you to know that Gracie literally just pulled out a like nail file, and
My nail is like
she is so bored. It's like that's like what you do in a play. If somebody's bored, if a character's bored, you have them like file their nails. Wow.
Yep.
Let me just
I'm
say
not
this.
bored, my nails
Let me
are
just say this.
falling.
You could have like fitness commercials or something, right? Or like
Sad dog commercial.
sad dog commercials or whatever, right? All right, let's move on. And then what here in the happier world of the circus?
away. Save him now.
I've about had it. Look,
At the
we've got 3 minutes before the bell rings. Here's what I need you to do at home. You have this document. Go through just like I can't scroll and see it, so let me just tell you. It's Roman numeral 1. Go through Roman numeral 1 and try to answer those questions. And you can do it like this. You can agree with what we've done or disagree with what we've done and come up with your take on how this looks. It does not have to be like this. That's the beauty of doing theater. Your interpretation will be different. So go through and try to answer these questions. You don't have to answer them like one by one, just the idea of the question. What's the space? What's the sound? What's the light? What are the shapes? All of those things. All right. Hey, that's it for Friday. I'll see you Monday.
Hey,
That was really good.
I'll see you later.
Yes. Don't you want to like
Do that